Welcome to our Team Beauty official podcast, She Inspires Us. Season 3, extremely excited to have another beautiful guest speaker here in the podcast room with us today. If you have been catching in with all of our series, this series is truly dedicated to strong, courageous, powerful women. I would like to say that are on the rise, okay? People that we've met in our journey here as coaches and are extremely inspired by their journey. And today we get to have all the way from Zapata, the beautiful Miss Kristina Garcia. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I've been kind of like waiting for this day. I'm hanging on to this chair. I told you I was going to be all giggles, but I think we're going to get a lot of good things out of me. And, you know, I'm here to just continue this whole thing that we're doing inside of Team Beauty where we're inspiring and I'm just ready for it. I'm just ready.
We're so glad to have you here. And, you know, I'm beyond excited for everyone to listen to your story. And today we're going to talk about fearless female, right? There's so many words that we were talking about before the podcast. What was that other word?
Oh,
ferocious.
I said ferocious.
Ferocious.
Female. Fearless female has always been my favorite. But I was thinking today, be like a lion, be like a tiger, just be strong, ferocious. And I was like, oh, there's another F one. I like it. Fearless female, ferocious females.
That's the topic today. And before we get into it, Kristina, why don't you share with us a little of who you were before Team Beauty? You know, what were you doing the day before? You know, you heard about us, joined the team, joined the community.
Okay. So prior to all of this happening and me even finding Team Beauty, it was actually just Herbalife, and then I just kind of slipped into Team Beauty because I was watching you guys. But so before that, coming in, I was a full-time college student. I moved over to Edinburgh, Texas, from my small town, and let me tell you, it was such a change. I felt like I was in such a tiny bubble at home that even when I moved out here, my mom gave me the keys and here, you're ready to go to college. I didn't even know how to use the arrows on the expressway lane. I was so terrified. So I remember I had a hard time kind of just breaking out of my shell coming into college. And fast forward a couple of years in college, I actually went through a depression, I would say. I was actually in a toxic relationship then, and I was actually engaged, and I ended up, pregnant, and a couple weeks later, I actually had a miscarriage. So after that, the relationship, it just kind of flopped, right? And I knew okay, I got to go back to college. I got to get myself together. My mom was like, go back to school. Everything's fine. And so I came back to Edinburgh, and I was a different person. I don't remember that time in my life being fun or amazing, or it was just a blur. I think back to it now, it was a blur. I couldn't keep anything. I was floating, and I was just floating. I couldn't absorb anything the professors were saying. I didn't want to get up for class. I was living by myself. I started failing school. And eventually I knew that wasn't what I wanted. So I asked my oldest sister for help and guidance in what to do next with my life and my career. So then I ended up switching majors. And I said, you know what? I can't be home anymore depressed. I can't do that. I need somebody. I need friends. I need someone other than my negative thoughts that I was just feeding on. I was such a victim. I was like, why me? Why that? And I was like, okay, maybe I just need some girlfriends. So I ended up getting a job at the mall. And through that is where I found my sponsors who were shopping for an occasion, an Herbalife. I think it was a gold party.
Okay.
They were shopping for a gold party. And I remember it was such a busy day. And I just remember my sponsors telling me words. They were trying to talk to me. I had a walkie on my ear. I had my manager talking to me. And I just remember keywords from my sponsors: opportunity, friendships, community, fitness, just chances. I just okay, I remember those keywords very well after they left. And somewhere in there, in all of that mix, they got my phone number. And so with that, I guess that's where I kind of got introduced to Herbalife. And then I fell right off of it. Never spoke to them again for years. And I guess it wasn't until I was like, okay, maybe I really do need to change. Because even now that I had switched my majors, I still wasn't taking care of myself. I still felt myself tripping. I did leave the job at the mall. They didn't make a lot of friends, even though I was looking for community. And so I guess with that, I got in touch with one of my sponsors again. And this whole ride started. Like, it all started for me. I took control of my health. I took control of my health. I started waking up on time. I started going to the gym, building those good habits. I got more excited. My grades started to rise. I felt like I was always ahead of my classes in my art classes. I was always like the best. I'm not like, I'm great at what I do in art. So I had so much joy, so much joy. And as I kept being involved, then I started seeing you girls come around. And I was like, wow, I saw y'all do a photo shoot. I saw y'all doing this, doing that. And I'm like, what am I doing? Just not in that. So after that, I got in Team Beauty and I never looked back. Like, I did my first photo shoot and I was terrified. And I realized how powerful it was. Like, it was just so different and so great. And I was like, this is right. This is where I was supposed to be. I was looking for community. I thought I was looking for it like at the mall and this and here and there. And, I found it here within my fitness journey after really focusing and taking control of myself and stepping out of, that fear I had, I guess, when I was going through that depression. So I know that was a lot, but
your results are amazing. Just looking at your images, your photos, your before and afters. I mean, any before and after that you throw out there, it's kind of like this chick has been, something fitness obsessed forever, because I mean, your abs are popping out, your legs look amazing, your booty's popping. I mean, everything. So share with us, right? Like, obviously, you have an amazing before and after. You have an amazing result.
Thank
so
you.
Was it always like that? Like, were you always in love with fitness? Did you always have abs? Obviously, before you didn't have those results, like, was that always the Kristina? Or, how did you discover her?
Okay. Well, I can tell you I was always an athlete. And I know, you were always an athlete too. So when I was in middle school, high school, I was a runner. I loved cross country. I loved track. I did a couple of other sports here and there, but nothing hit me like running did. Like, we were really great as a team in my hometown. And I really took that so seriously. So, I mean, I was a tiny little, I'm 4'11". Right now I weigh about 112 pounds. When I was a runner, I weighed about 104 pounds and I had no muscle on me. I never lifted weights. It was just runner's body, It was just nice and light and just go, running. So I was never like I was never like this. I wasn't. I always told myself, I look back at those pictures and I looked kind of very thin, I don't want to say malnourished, right? But, it just doesn't look like the body that I have today. So, How
did you discover that? Were there ever moments where you looked at yourself in the mirror? I mean, because we're women, right? Like, we look at ourselves in the mirror, and when these results started popping up, were you ever like, damn, or like, where's this coming from? Did I ever have this? Or like, what was it, when you started to discover her?
I remember it was my 3rd or 4th month on my program. And I remember stepping in front of a mirror and I didn't look like I felt like I wasn't in the same body, but it was like, wow, I built this body. Like, it's not the same. Like, my body composition completely flipped from, just, how I said I was very thin. I ended up building a lot of muscle through my journey. Like, I was just so excited. Like, I was just lifting weights. I was jumping in the classes. I was doing the deal. I was getting my meals and I loved it. So, 4 months in, I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, my body changed so much and I'm so proud of it. And I feel so much more beautiful and so much more secure in the body that I built, because, we only have one, so we got to take care of it. And I'm like, damn, I did that. And I've been able to maintain my body since, and I'm 31 years old. I'm about to be 31 years old, but I feel the healthiest I've ever been. I feel most beautiful I've ever been, the strongest I've ever been. And it's just amazing how your transformation journey and just noticing that your body's changing, and just the confidence it gives you from doing it all right, giving it, effort And I thought that was, it took a couple of months, 4 months. I was already changing within a couple of weeks. But when I truly looked at myself on my third or fourth month, like I knew I had it in the bag. Like I knew I did it right. Like sticking to the plan, trusting the process, like that's what it took.
Wow. Yes, absolutely amazing, incredible. I've told you many times, like, it's not only seeing transformation through the physical part, but seeing the transformation and yourself evolve in the journey where like that, you tell yourself things like, I did that, I'm proud of that, I love myself, instead of telling yourself the negative talk, right? And so let's shift into the topic. We want to talk about fear a little bit and being fearless and the journey. I know that as a coach to hundreds and thousands of people, many, it's like that's the first thing that triggers people, that halts, that stops people, and that doesn't allow them to be the best they can and live their best life. So what is it for you? Let's talk a lot about your story, your journey, and the fear behind it. How did it come up? Do you have it? How did you discover this fearless part of you, or force yourself at least to be fearless in this journey?
I think I would have to start with just ever since I was young, I've always known I was a fighter. And I had mentioned this to you earlier, but like, there's something about me that is so good about not giving up. If I give up on something, it's because like it really is just, it's not good for me. But I will try. And just with my fitness journey, I will try. I'm a fighter. And so I think whenever I just decided that I need to stop being so scared and just, start on my fitness journey. And I thought maybe if I start on my fitness journey, I'll start taking care of myself. It'll change my mentality. Maybe I won't be so scared of, going out in public. Because I remember when I told you I was going through like this depression, I didn't even want people to know my name in class. I didn't want professors to know my name. I wanted to sit in the corner of class.
Why?
Where it was just something that like I just felt like after what happened with the miscarriage, I don't think I ever really recovered. Like no one really, honestly, to now that I get to speak on it a little bit more, I've never had the chance to really, I guess, talk about those feelings that I had then. So it kind of kept dragging on me, and it was kind of like a cloud over me. And so when we talk about being fearless, I guess I just tried to stop thinking of being scared, and I just tried to start thinking of doing something that was good. So started the fitness journey, got into Team Beauty. The photo shoot, I was kind of scared. I just went for it, jumped into the business. I was scared about it, but I did it anyway. And then, I ended up opening up my own business, also, with Team Beauty and Herbalife. And I had to be unafraid, but also be excited. And so I feel like that fighter in me always told myself, like, we're not done yet. We're not done yet. We're not meant for a little. We're meant for more. I used to tell myself when I was in that victim mentality, I remember one day when I was crying, I was like, I guess this is my life. And now that I look back, I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad I changed. So now that I'm fearless, I can face every obstacle.
How do you think people get to that point where they're like, I guess this is my life?
Oh, I don't know.
I guess this is it. Like, how do you get to that point where this is it,
I feel like for me, I've always thought of it like you sink or you swim or you float. You can decide to continue down the rabbit hole like I was for a while. You can, decide to swim where you get out of it. Or I was also a person that was floating. Remember, I described to you that I felt like I was just floating and I couldn't absorb anything. You know what's going on, but you don't do anything about it. And so you decide to swim. You decide to change. And change is scary, but change is what you need. So you have to just decide that, maybe being a little scared isn't so bad all the time. Maybe it makes your life a little more excited when you decide to take those risks. You never know what's going to come out of it because you're the writer of your own story. But how do you write if you're scared? It's kind of like if you're scared to write your story, you're never going to put that pen on that paper.
Correct.
So I thought, I always think about it like that. You sink or you swim or you float, and you don't want to be a floater. It doesn't feel very good. We don't have a lot of time in this life, so we might as well become fearless and just go
and
for
start
it.
writing.
Start writing your story. Start writing your story.
What are some things that you've dared to do, that you've been fearless about, that today you're like, I'm so glad, and like those rewards, like those rewards that come out of you being like, it can be so small and cheesy or so impactful, but like, what are those rewards that you've received in your life that, you feel, I'm so glad that I did, that I jumped?
So whenever I started this business with you guys and really jumped into Team Beauty, I feel like even yourself as someone that I look up to is just say yes. Whatever is asked of you, say yes. The day you asked me to be on stage with you, I was terrified. But I said, I'm going to say yes. So everything I've ever been asked for, even within like the part where we lead in Team Beauty, it's like, say yes, even if it's different. And I feel like I've gotten so much back from that I know like the next thing you ask me is a yes. Like even when you asked me for this podcast, like yes.
It got easier.
You don't even have to finish the question. I'm like, yeah. And then sometimes you're like, are you in? I'm like, yeah. And I don't even know what we're doing. But I love that about me now because I know that the fear is also temporary, It's like, it'll be gone. Once you get it, once you go through, like, we're not going to like pass out and you die. Like, we make it through and we learn. And even if we like, we trip, it's all about like, okay, I learned a little bit. Like you never really lose. You just learn. And I feel like that has helped my fear. Like I'm good. Like it's taken time. And I'm not going to say that today I do things with fear still. Like today I do it with fear. Like people always tell me like, how do you do that? You don't even know what's going through my head. Like I'm so scared, but I'm like, I know I can do this. I've done so much already. And I feel like obviously it started from a long time ago, but I think everyone has that power to just, say, hey, I can be a little more fearless today. I can be a little more ferocious today. Like what can I do today that's going to make me stronger tomorrow, even if it's a little scary? And I feel like it's just brought me so much like happiness too. Like still scared sometimes, but that's life. You never know what's going to happen next. And not that it's supposed to scare you, right? Because we don't want to you don't want to be anxious about the future. You want to be excited. But we're going to get
What
through
excites you about the future?
Oh, that I don't know what's going to happen. That I always say like
that doesn't scare you.
Well, I mean, I never knew.
Figure, huh?
Like think about it. Like even before Team Beauty, I didn't know what was gonna happen. Like before I even worked at the mall and found my sponsor, I didn't know what was gonna happen. But I had to do something, and look where I am. Who's to say if I continue that same like fearlessness? Now that I'm a lot stronger, I'm a lot. Like I said, I still trip, but like I'm still more fearless than ever. Like who's to say what the future will bring?
You've created so much impact already in such a short amount of time, especially someone that isn't local, how we call you guys,
well,
right?
I always say that I'm not near the beehive or the nest.
Yes, you're not near the nest at all. You're in Zapata. How many hours away is that?
I'm about 2 hours away. So my town is very small. Like you can't blink or you'll miss it. You'll miss it.
Were you born and raised there? Were you born and raised there?
I was born and raised there, yeah. And so, I mean, I didn't get to experience, like, when I was young, I was, like, such a good kid. Like, I never went to parties. I didn't never drink. Like, I didn't know nothing. I didn't even know how to drive on the expressway when I got here, And, like, here I am.
Driving, even in big cities.
Oh, yeah.
Now you just take off.
Oh, let me tell you, I just went, like, from El Paso to Dallas to Laredo on a flight for the first time in my whole life, like on an airplane by myself. Yeah, I know. I'm 30 years old and I barely got on my first flight. Let me tell you, I cried so much and I was scared. And then I got through it and I was like, damn, I'm going to do this over and over again. So like, I guess it's all the time. Like it's different. I guess when you come from a little town and there's never a lot, or there's not a lot to experience, as you come out, like you gotta be and try not to be scared of anything,
So are you happy that you got on the plane?
Oh my God, yeah. Well, I had to run through it twice because like I wasn't able to get on my flight, and then they put me for like a standby, so I had to go through it, and it was just like practice. And I was like, oh, wasn't that hard? Okay. And I feel like that's how you gotta live life. Like you might be scared, and then you get through it. Oh,
And later you're just going to be like, first class, please.
First class.
Yes.
Yeah. So
you're from Zapata, okay, away from the nest, away from, where we started everything. We love to see so much impact and expansion. We have a lot of team, from different cities, and you're truly a representation of the possibility of the impact that can happen, with our women empowerment movement, with Team Beauty, with the nutrition and fitness and everything that we do. And so as you kicked off, right, and then you said, like, I'm going to be in my corner and I'm going to build my tribe. I'm going to create my team. I'm going to, go out there and impact and share, the gift that we have. How was that? How did that come to life for you to dare, for you to be fearless and really just go into it like that?
Okay, so whenever I told you I asked my sister for some guidance on my career and my life. Well, she decided to kind of steer me into art and education. I loved art, so that was fun. But Herbalife found me like my last year of college, and I thought to myself, maybe I don't want to be a teacher, but I do love art. So I changed my major. As soon as I graduated, the day of graduation, I went to an Herbalife event. I literally I graduated, I went to STS, and then I graduated after. Sorry, I got it backwards. But I knew that day, like, I even wore the button on my hat. I wore an Herbalife button over my hat, and I just knew, like, I think, like, that was where I was supposed to be. Like, I was already watching it, having fun, and I was like, I think I can do this. So that's when I decided, I was going to start my business somewhere with this. And anyways, I ended up going to a satellite club meeting. I had no idea what that was. I was like, why is it called satellite club meeting? Saw this amazing presentation on it was like numbers on these business model. And also, it was like the number of like teas and money that you could possibly make. And I thought it was just like, wow, like, this is so neat. And I was just so inspired that I was like, I'm going to do this. I went home, and then I came back to McAllen because I was like, I don't think I could do this. I can't do this. And then I sucked it up, and I told myself, like, not to be scared and to make opportunity. Because my town doesn't have anything. Remember, I told you it's so small. My town has nothing. So I was like, maybe this is good for my town. It's good for me. It's time to not be scared and just go for it. And so I had no idea that I was like, Zapata's not ready. No, I wasn't ready. I didn't have enough product. So, I started my business from there, and, became more friendly, more outspoken, got to meet more people, got to meet more girls, got to focus on not so much the things that were feeding me that negatively from way back when, but getting to, like, I don't know, just, learn about other people's issues and take care of them and, like, help them with their fitness. And then it just all worked out from there. So now, like, 3 years later, I have my own commercial nutrition club with, I still have my regular people that used to visit me at home and stuff. And I had to do it. Like, I was like, there's no plan B, right? And no plan B is scary. It's scary not to have plan B. So, but I did it anyways, fearlessly, because I knew I had to trust the process, right? You trust in the process, just like you do in your fitness journey. That's just how it is in business. That's how it is in life. You got to just trust the process and just take the right steps for yourself. So
how do you feel now that you're able to create a positive impact in your community? There's many women that swing by there. You even host, our weekly events, Booty Thursday, stuff like that. So how do you feel now that you know that it's because of you that impact is being created?
Oh, I love it. One time I went to the bank and they asked, are you the Herbalife girl? And I was like, I knew it. I got it in the bag. I did make an impact. So it makes me feel really good. I love that I get to talk to so many people. I get to really help a lot of women in my hometown. And whether it's like something small or something big, or, inside of Team Beauty, or maybe even if they don't do Team Beauty, or just helping them over the nutrition bar, it's been, I don't know, something that, like, I love. Not that I always need thank yous, but when I get them, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm doing something right. And it feels good. Feels good that, I'm helping other women feel good, and even men, So
knowing everything that you have learned in these 3 years, right? And knowing who you were before, what would you tell, that girl, that 25-year-old, that 26-year-old? What would you tell her now that, you've obviously grown, you've learned, you've experienced? What would you tell her now if you had her right in front of you?
Sheesh. If I could, I'd even grab her hand and pull her with me. I guess back then it was hard for me to even hear good words. So I'm thinking like if the Kristina was listening to me now, like she'd want to be like, no, I don't want nothing with it. Like I was such a victim. But if I could, I wouldn't even talk to her. I'd grab her and I'd pull her, because she needed more than words at that time. She needed more than words. And sometimes that's what people need. It's hard whenever you're in this mental place where, like it's a bad mental place, and like you can't even get those. Someone's telling you something good, like you want to like not listen to it, and that's where I was. So I would grab her. I'd grab her and pull her. I mean, I would tell her like, hey, like there's so much more. There's so much more than being sad and being a victim and saying like this is your life, because it's not. It's not. And if anyone's listening right now and you feel like you're stuck, there's always like a better day and a chance to, do it different, and just continue to if you're fighting those, negative words like I was then, like it's just trying to fill it with positive ones. 'Cause even today, like sometimes I'll be like, oh my God, I'm so dumb. Like, and then I have a new partner now and he's like, Kristina, don't say those words. I know it was just a little tiny mistake, but don't you say you're dumb. You say, I could do it better. So it's also now learning how to, talk to yourself. That's another thing too. I know like that was a little off, but it's important, what you speak to yourself is so important. That's how
the things
I kept
that
going.
You tell yourself, make them real.
So yeah, now today I tell myself I'm fearless. It's not like I think I'm fearless. I've said it so many times that like I am fearless. It took some time, but
there's many people listening, and many that are currently in their transformation, many that are maybe listening for the very first time. We see you and you're like, should I not? You're afraid, you're scared, you've been watching from afar, and don't know what the next step is, don't know what to do. There are many people in the same place that you were when you started, and many people in the middle, right? What would you tell the women listening, as we go into a new week, what would those action steps be so they could feel more fearless in the next 7 days, right? How can I, be like, damn, I just listened to this podcast, applied this, and I already feel more fearless. What would you tell them? What should they do?
My first advice is just whatever you're doing, don't stop. Don't stop. Don't yo-yo this. Don't you want to get to the end. The end might not be, we don't your fitness journey is a forever thing. I would say, if we're really trying to make this a lifestyle, it's a forever thing. So just keep going. If you fall off a little bit, just wake up the next day and be like, okay, let's get back on track. And if it feels too heavy, plug into your chat. Send a message to your coach, send a message to somebody, get yourself in the gym, even if you got to drag yourself a little bit, have a nice little energy drink, get your meal in. That's all you can do to just continue going, really. I just feel like once you stop and then you end up tripping, and then women might not want to take a little longer to come back, and you don't want that. You want to really get to your fitness goals. You want to get to your life goals. You got to just continue pushing through, continue fighting through what's going on, because life is going to continue to throw things at you, and just have to, keep pushing through.
How do you find the fighter in you? How do you find the lion in you? How do you, bring her out? How do we do that? Tell me, Kristina.
I feel like you got to get stern with yourself. Get stern with yourself. Just be like, this is what I want, and this is what it takes. And if something gets in the way, if you got to get through it, right? But I feel like that's something that I had to do. I had to wake up and be like, this is what I want, and this is what it takes. And even if I'm scared, this is what I got to do. Okay, I follow the steps that have already been given to me. I follow the system that I'm already in, even though I'm afraid. But it's kind of like becoming your own boss, but you do it in fitness. Like, since I'm talking to a lot of the girls that are doing fitness, it's like you got to be stern with yourself and setting in those what you call like disciplines.
Yeah.
Right. So once you keep doing that, you like the confidence kicks in, and you're like, you know, I am a fighter because I got through it. I am a fighter because I got through this week. I am a fighter because something went wrong, but I made it through, or I tripped, but I got up. Like, so that's all. That's what it takes. Getting stern with yourself. So I feel like that would be my answer.
Love it. Well, any last words for everybody listening?
Well, I think it's important, ladies, to always remember that you are super strong, you're brilliant, you're powerful. Continue to say those words even when you feel a little down. And everybody is a fearless female. Everybody is. You're fearless, and you just continue to tell yourself those good words, and you will see that you'll be able to get a lot out of life, get out of those problems you're in, or even at least just solve them a little and continue going through life. And I feel like that's something I would want to leave with you guys.
Can you imagine that up to now, you haven't even lived the best days of your life?
None of us.
Each and every single one of you, I want to leave you with that thought. We haven't even lived the best days of our life, and that is what excites us. Kristina, how powerful you were today. Voracious, fighter, fearless females, each and every single one of you that is listening. Let's take on another week, and thank you for listening to today's podcast.
Thank you, guys.
See you soon.